Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. This is chapter number 6 of class 12th geography, that is the Indian geography, and we are on chapter number 6, that is water resources. Let's start the chapter. Water scarcity is possibly to pose the greatest challenge on account of its increased demand coupled with shrinking supplies due to overutilization and pollution. Water is cyclic resource with abundant supplies on the globe. Approximately 71% of the earth's surface is covered with it, but freshwater constitutes only about 3% of the total water. In fact, a very small proportion of freshwater is effectively available for human use. The availability of freshwater varies over space and time. The tensions and disputes on sharing and control of this scarce resource are becoming contested issues among communities, regions, and states. The assessment, efficient use, and conservation of water therefore become necessary to ensure development. In this chapter, we shall discuss about water resources in India, its geographical distribution and sectoral utilization, and methods of conservation management. Water resources of India. India accounts for about 2.45% of the world's surface area, 4% of the world's water resources, and about 16% of the world's population. The total water available from precipitation in the country in a year is about 4,000 cubic kilometers. The availability from surface water and replenishable groundwater is 1,869 cubic kilometers. Out of this, only 60% can be put to beneficial uses. Thus, the total utilizable water resource in the country is only about 1,122 cubic kilometers. This is a very important fact that you have to remember, and it can be used in the various answers that you can write if the question comes in the mains. Surface water resources. There are four major sources of surface water. These are rivers, lakes, ponds, tanks. So rivers, lakes, ponds and tanks. In the country there are about 10,360 rivers and their tributaries longer than 1.6 kilometers each. The mean annual flow in all the river basins in India is estimated to be around 1,869 cubic kilometers. However, due to topographical, hydrological, and other constraints, only about 690 cubic kilometers, that is 32% of available surface water, can be utilized. Water flow in river depends on the size of its catchment area or river basin and rainfall within its catchment area. You have studied in your class 11 textbook that precipitation in India is very high spatial variation and it is mainly concentrated in monsoon season. You also have studied in the textbook that some of the rivers in the country like Ganga, Brahmaputra and Indus have huge catchment areas. Given the precipitation is relatively high in the catchment areas of the Ganga, the Brahmaputra and the Brak rivers, these rivers, although account only for about one third of the total area in the country, have 60% of the total surface water resources. Much of the annual water flow in South Indian rivers like Godavari, Krishna, and the Kaveri has been harnessed, but it is yet to be done in the Brahmaputra and the Ganga basins. Groundwater resources. The total replenishable groundwater resource in the country is about 432 cubic kilometers. The level of groundwater utilization is relatively high in the river basins lying in the northwestern region and parts of South India. The groundwater utilization is very high in states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu. However, there are states like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Kerala, etc., which utilize only a small proportion of their groundwater potentials. States like Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Tripura, and Maharashtra are utilizing their groundwater resources at a moderate rate. If the present trend continues, the demands for water would need to be supplied. would need the supplies, and such a situation will be detrimental to development and can cause social upheaval and disruptions. Lagoons and backwaters. India has a vast coastline, and the coast is very indented in some states. Due to this, a number of lagoons and lakes have formed. The states of Kerala, Odisha, and West Bengal have vast surface water resources in these lagoons and lakes. Although water is generally brackish in these water bodies, it is used for fishing and irrigating certain varieties of paddy crops, coconut, etc. Water demand and utilization. India has traditionally been an agrarian economy, and about two-thirds of its population have been dependent on agriculture. Hence, development of irrigation to increase agricultural production has been assigned a very high priority in the 5 year plans. The multipurpose river valleys projects like Bhakaranangal, Hirakud, Damodar Valley, Nagarjuna Sagar, Indira Gandhi Canal project, etc., have been taken up. In fact, India's water demand at the present is dominated by irrigational needs. Agriculture accounts for most of the surface and groundwater utilization. It accounts for 89% of surface water and 92% of the groundwater utilization. While the share of industrial sector is limited to 2% of surface water utilization and 5% of the groundwater, the share of domestic sector is higher, 9%, in surface water utilization as compared to groundwater. The share of agricultural sector in total water utilization is much higher than other sectors. However, in future with development, the shares of industrial and domestic sectors in the country are likely to increase. Demand of irrigation. In agriculture, water is mainly used for irrigation. Irrigation is needed because of spatio-temporal variability in rainfall. I'll repeat that again, spatio-temporal variability in rainfall in the country. The large tracts of the country are deficient in rainfall and are drought prone. Northwestern India and Deccan Plateau constitute such areas. Winter and summer seasons are more or less dry in most part of the country. Hence, it is difficult to practice agriculture without assured irrigation during dry seasons. Even in areas of ample rainfall like West Bengal and Bihar, breaks in the monsoon or its failure creates dry spells detrimental for agriculture. Water needs of certain crop also makes irrigation necessary. For instance, water requirement of rice, sugarcane, jute, etc. is very high and can be met only through irrigation. Provision of irrigation makes multiple cropping possible. It also has been found that irrigated lands have higher agricultural productivity than unirrigated lands. Further, the high yielding varieties of crops need regular moisture supply, which is made possible only by a developed irrigation system. In fact, this is why the Green Revolution strategy of agriculture development in the country has largely been successful in Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh. In Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh, more than 85% of the net sown area is under irrigation. Wheat and rice are grown mainly with the help of irrigation in these states. Of the total net irrigated area, 71.6% in Punjab and 51.3% in Haryana are irrigated through wells and tube wells. This shows that these states utilize large proportion of their groundwater potential, which has resulted in groundwater depletion in these states. Though overuse of groundwater resources has led to decline in groundwater table in these states. In fact, over withdrawals in some states like Rajasthan and Maharashtra has increased fluoride concentration in groundwater. And this practice has led to increase in concentration of arsenic in parts of West Bengal and Bihar. Emerging water problems. The per capita availability of water is dwindling day by day due to increase in population. The available water resources are also getting polluted with industrial, agricultural, and domestic effluents, and this in turn is further limiting the availability of usable water resources. Deterioration of water quality. Water quality refers to purity of water or water without unwanted foreign substances. Water gets polluted by foreign matters such as microorganisms, chemicals, industrial, and other waste. Such matters deteriorate the quality of water and render it unfit for human use. When toxic substances enter lakes and streams, rivers, oceans, and other water bodies, they get dissolved or lie suspended in water. This results in pollution of water, whereby water quality deteriorates, affecting aquatic systems. Sometimes these pollutants also seep down and pollute groundwater. The Ganga and the Yamuna are two highly polluted rivers in the country. Water conservation and management. Since there is a declining availability of fresh water and increasing demand, the need has arisen to conserve and effectively manage this precious life giving resource for sustainable development. Given that water availability from sea/ocean due to high cost of desalination is considered negligible, India has to take quick steps to make effective policies and laws and adopt effective measures for its conservation. Besides developing water saving technologies and methods, attempts are also being made to prevent the pollution. There is a need to encourage watershed development, rainwater harvesting, water recycling, and reuse, and conjunctive use of water for sustaining water supply in the long run. Prevention of water pollution. Available water resources are degrading rapidly. The major rivers of the country are generally retain better water quality in less densely populated upper stretches in hilly areas. In plains, river water is used intensively for irrigation, drinking, domestic and industrial purposes. The drains carrying agricultural fertilizers and insecticides, domestic, solid and liquid waste, and industrial effluents join the rivers. The concentration of pollutants in the rivers, especially, remains very high during the summer season when flow of water is low. The Central Pollution Control Board CPCB, in collaboration with the state pollution control boards, has been monitoring water quality of national aquatic resources at 507 stations. The data obtained from these stations show that organic and bacterial contamination continues to be the main source of pollution in rivers. The Yamuna River is the most polluted river in the country between Delhi and Etawah. Other severely polluted rivers are the Sabarmati at Ahmedabad, the Gomti at Lucknow, the Kali, the Adyar, the Coombe entire stretches, the Vaigai at Madurai, and the Musi of Hyderabad. The Ganga at Kanpur and Varanasi also. Groundwater pollution has occurred due to high concentrations of heavy/toxic metals, fluoride, and nitrates at different parts of the country. The legislative provisions such as the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 and Environment Protection Act EPA 1986 have not been implemented effectively. The result is that in 1997, 251 polluting industries were located along the rivers and lakes. The Water Cess Act 1977, meant to reduce pollution, has also made marginal impacts. There is a strong need to generate public awareness about importance of water and impacts of water pollution. The public awareness and action can be very effective in reducing the pollutants from agricultural activities, domestic and industrial discharges. Recycle and reuse of water. Another way through which we can improve freshwater availability is by recycle and reuse. Use of water of lesser quality, such as reclaimed wastewater, would be an attractive option for industries for cooling and firefighting to reduce their water cost. Similarly, in urban areas, water after bathing and washing utensils can be used for gardening. Water used for washing vehicles can also be used for gardening. This would conserve better quality of water for drinking purposes. Currently, recycling of water is practiced on a limited scale. However, there is enormous scope for replenishing water through recycling. Watershed management. Watershed management basically refers to efficient management and conservation of surface and groundwater resources. It involves prevention of runoff and storage and recharge of groundwater through various methods like percolation tanks, recharge wells, etc. However, in a broad sense, watershed management includes conservation, regeneration, and judicious use of all resources natural, like land, water, plants, and animals, and human, within a watershed. Watershed management aims at bringing about balance between natural resources on the one hand and society on the other. The success of development largely depends upon community participation. The central and state government have initiated many watershed development and management programs in the country. Some of these are being implemented by non-governmental organizations also. Haryali is a watershed development project sponsored by the central government which aims at enabling the rural population to conserve water for drinking, irrigation, fisheries, and afforestation. The project is being executed with gram panchayats with people's participation. Niru Miru Water and You program in Andhra Pradesh and Avari Pani Sansad in Alwar Rajasthan Arvari Pani Sansad in Alwar Rajasthan have taken up constructions of various water harvesting structures like percolation tanks, dugout ponds, johad, check dams, etc. through people's participation. Tamil Nadu has made water harvesting structure in houses compulsory. No building can be constructed without making structures for freshwater harvesting. Watershed development projects in some areas have been successful in regenerating environment and economy. However, there are only a few success stories. In majority of cases, the program is still at its nascent stage. There is a need to generate awareness regarding benefits of watershed development and management among people in the country. And through its integrated water resource management approach, water availability can be ensured on a sustainable basis. Rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a method to capture and store rainwater for various uses. It is also used to recharge groundwater aquifers. It is a low cost and eco friendly technique for preserving every drop of water by guiding the rainwater to borewell, pits, and wells. Rainwater harvesting increases water availability, checks the declining groundwater table, and improves the quality of groundwater through dilution of contaminants like fluoride and nitrates, prevents soil erosion and flooding, and arrests salt water intrusion in coastal areas if used to recharge aquifers. Rainwater harvesting has been practiced through various methods by different communities in the country for a long time. Traditional rainwater harvesting in rural areas is done by using surface storage bodies like lakes, ponds, irrigation tanks, etc. In Rajasthan, rainwater harvesting structures, locally known as kund or tanka, a covered underground tank, are considered near or in house or village to store harvested rainwater. To understand various ways of rainwater harvesting, there is a wide scope to use rainwater harvesting technique to conserve precious water resource. It can be done by harvesting rainwater on rooftops and open spaces. Harvesting rainwater also decreases community dependence on groundwater for domestic use. Besides bridging the demand supply gap, it can also save energy to pump groundwater as recharge leads to rise in groundwater table. These days, rainwater harvesting is being taken up on a massive scale in many states in the country. Urban areas can specially benefit from rainwater harvesting as water demand has already outstripped water supply in most of the cities and towns. Apart from mentioned factors, the issue of desalination of water, particularly in coastal areas, and brackish water in arid and semi arid areas, transfer of water from water surplus areas to water deficit areas through interlinking of rivers can be important remedies for solving problems in India. However, the more important issue from the point of view of individual users, household and communities is pricing of water. There is a box below. That box contains details about highlights of India's National Water Policy 2002. Let's read that box. The National Water Policy 2002 stipulates water allocation priorities broadly in the following order: drinking water, irrigation, hydropower, navigation, industrial, and other uses. The policy stipulates progressive new approaches to water management. Key features include: irrigation and multipurpose projects should invariably include drinking water component wherever there is no alternative source of drinking water. Providing drinking water to all human beings and animals should be the first priority. Measures should be taken to limit and regulate the exploitation of groundwater. Both surface and groundwater should be regularly monitored for quality. A phased program should be undertaken for improving water quality. The efficiency of utilization in all the diverse uses of water should be improved. Awareness of water as a scarce resource should be fostered. Conservation consciousness should be promoted through education, regulation, incentives, and disincentives. Jal Kranti Abhiyan 2015 and 16. Water is a recyclable resource, but its availability is limited, and the gap between supply and demand will be widening over time. Climate change at the global scale will be creating water stress conditions in many regions of the world. India has a unique situation of high population growth and rapid economic development with high water demand. The Jal Kranti Abhiyan launched by the Government of India in 2015-16 with an aim to ensure water security through per capita availability of water in the country. People in different regions of India have practiced the traditional knowledge of water conservation and management to ensure water availability. The Jal Shakti Abhiyan aims to involving local bodies, NGOs, and citizens at large in creating awareness regarding its objectives. The following activities have been proposed under Jal Kranti Abhiyan. Selection of one water stressed village in each 672 districts of the country to create a Jal Gram. Identification of model command area of about 1000 hectares in different parts of the country, for example, UP, Haryana, North, Karnataka, Telangana, Tamil Nadu South, Rajasthan, Gujarat West, Odisha East, Meghalaya Northeast. Abatement of pollution. Water conservation and artificial recharge, reducing groundwater pollution, and construction of arsenic free wells in selected areas of the country. Creating mass awareness through social media, radio, TV, print media, poster, and essay writing competitions in schools. Jal Kranti Abhiyan is designed to provide livelihood and food security through water security. Thank you, everyone. This was the end of chapter number 6. With this, we have completed the water resources. In the next video, we'll start with chapter number 7. Thank you for tuning in. All the best for exams. Do share and subscribe the channel and keep supporting us. Thank you.